In the business I work for, the marketing director decides on price, not the finance director. And I think that has released or created a need for positive tension between the two. The FD cannot take a price. It's the marketing director who says, it's the right time to take price, we're going to take a price. So creating links between the two roles, which are beyond the obvious, I think the quarrel disappears in a way. Number two is having a stake for the outcomes which are identical. So if the chief finance officer is going to be rewarded for operating margin expansion, all right? For every percentage of revenue that we grew, we made more profit, all right? The two of them should share that objective. And once you do, the conversations, I think, become more pointed in what are the things that the levers we're going to pull to do that. The final thing for me would be, and maybe we are repeating ourselves, data. If you are using the same truths or one set of facts or one version of truth, did it work or did it not work? Is this right? How does it drive the outcomes we're looking for? I think the wiring of objectives and not arguing about the facts, really helps. The final thing for me is ego. When people have got big ego, sometimes egos come in the way. Most companies, chief finance officer tends to be the number two in the business, and they tend to pull rank even where rank is not necessary. So wearing the badge of I'm the number two, I'm bigger, hierarchy is higher, sometimes gets in the way. So yes, there's still space in dealing with that. How do we, as marketing and finance, really work as colleagues, as peers, and not really get defocused by ranks, I think.
Olu Akomo, FCMB. Because we're here to share, I'd like to speak to two issues. The first one is, when the point was made that we need to justify investment, the body language of my colleagues was poor. The reason why the CFO is the number two in the boardroom is because the CFO speaks the language of the shareholders. We can measure marketing investment, even in banking. Reputation must translate to some business proxy. If the brand is strong, does it attract more deposits? Our ability to relate our outputs in marketing to business numbers will make us to have far better conversations with our CFOs and speak the languages that our shareholders understand. When the business of building a franchise, so metrics, what I tell my colleagues, metrics like, feeling metrics like brand preference, ego lego, how much is that? If you cannot translate brand preference, franchise, into what it means at least over a 3-year period in terms of the rate of your customer acquisition, your deposits, and whatever proxy, your tonnage, you would continue to look relevant in the boardroom. And I think it's a conversation we need to have and be open-minded, because we marketing people, we are not open-minded enough to the fact that we need to be accountable. If you go to run a sponsorship, you can run an ROI, a return on investment, and how does it help you to build a franchise? Now, my second comment is on the issue of the agility of local companies and international ones. And a quick comment I'd like to be related to Dr. Salami's presentation. We traditionally, we have always drawn the demographics or segmentation in triangle. What has happened fundamentally, and that's why the local companies get it better than multinationals, the triangle that we always drew, ABC, has turned into an hourglass because the middle class is broken and disappeared. And many of them traded down. And we have carried the paradigm of a triangle structure and continuously misunderstand what has happened to that middle. And that is why the local companies who are operating from first principle, which means I'm not operating with a paradigm. What does the market need? At what price point? How do they want it? They get it right, better than many of us who have been in traditional markets. So this whole issue of local, how will the multinationals truly allow a real local input into a legacy thinking of how the portfolio should be built? That's the difference between the local companies and the multinationals. For us as marketing people, how do we convince our business about the fundamental change in the demographic structure that we now have a very unequal country, 10% at the top, a broken middle, and a whole lot of people at the bottom? And how do you restructure your business, your portfolio to address a hourglass demographic structure rather than a triangle demographic structure that we have traditionally learned in our marketing?
That's very good. I just want to chip in something, which is that it's not only the language of the finance people. I think marketers actually need to understand the language of the entire organization, simply because there are quite a lot of instances where the problems in the organization can only be spotted by the marketer. Because after he's done everything that he thinks he can do and the problems still persist, he finds it difficult to explain where the problems might be coming from, simply because he doesn't know. And a very good example that I've experienced personally is where you notice that your customer numbers are flat and everybody just thinks that the marketing activities are not working. But because there wasn't enough deep dive into the issues, people didn't realize that the problem was actually from renewals. So every year you get 100 customers. Instead of you to keep about 80 of those customers and probably add about 20 or 30 to them the next year, you lose 50 of them. So the marketers are basically just, pouring water into a leaking basket. But because the marketer didn't know what was happening, because the marketer didn't know what was happening, he really couldn't defend himself, and he eventually had to even lose his job.
I think our role as marketers is we need to be heavy on data, insights, because I realize that the more seeking insights into the consumer pattern and sharing that at the table and being listened to. And you see that it's not just the CFO, the CEOs, the other heads of businesses are asking for that data. So I'm challenging the agencies to provide insights to the consumer pattern. And I think we also need to understand what life cycle our businesses are. Because I hear the rest of my colleagues talking about selling cartons or quantity. In financial services, we don't have cartons to sell. So again, is to understand using insights what life cycle our business is at, and then the consumers who consume the products we offer, what life cycle are they at? And we have to constantly do that. It's not something we do today and stop tomorrow. Every month I'm quizzing and asking, because we run campaigns and we're evaluating after a month or 2 months. If it's not shifting or you're not seeing the desired results, something is wrong. Like you said, it's not necessarily due to the marketing effort, but there's a consumer experience pattern as well. You might be running all the promotions and the consumer doesn't have a smooth experience. He won't be attracted to that product. So there are various legs to what we sell, how we sell it, and the experience and the journey of selling that will create adoption, usage, or even retention. So I think that we need to constantly look at all of those and then be able to advise our colleagues, educate our CFOs, educate our CEOs, and not just them. For example, in my place, I don't determine price, but I can use insights to advise you that, are we actually giving the right or the most attractive interest rates on these products, because I have insight. But if I don't produce that, the product team who is responsible for developing that product will not listen to me. So I think that's the role that we play. And I think it's multi-legged, because there are various parts of the businesses that we need to speak to be able to come up with the right solutions for them. And eventually, it will come to the bottom line, which the CFO will understand.
I think it's good for marketers to share experiences. I think that's what we probably should do here to help us. All the comments have been made. I know Baker, I took over from Baker in Guinness, but we never really met, so he was leaving and I was coming. But it's easy for Baker. He's CEO now, so he's a marketing person. It's easy. I've also worked with Procter & Gamble. It's a marketing-driven organization. So if our marketers actually become CEOs, a finance person that is so good, we also have to go through an abridged marketing training. A production person that is so good, we have to go through an abridged marketing training to become a CEO. Because those are companies, if you look at the companies that are doing really well, there are people who understand marketing. So there are issues we have that we probably need to put on the table here. There are cultural issues. Marketers are really struggling in their organizations because marketing have become like just the communication. Marketers are advertising directors in their companies. They are not really marketers. The marketer should be managing the 4 Ps. I launched an advert. I'm happy the Duffield man is here. And we have a very good, I competed with him. But, I say it. Indomie, people don't ask for the price of Indomie. They just say, give me Indomie. They don't ask for the price. But for the other noodles brand, they're asking how much is it. They don't ask for it. And Indomie charges about 30% premium over other noodles brand. I can say it here, don't feel so proud. When we do the blind taste trial, Indomie doesn't come top. But that's the truth. But when you put the brand on it, people just Indomie. So it's very clear that marketing works. Then the question is, why is it difficult for the CFOs, even the CEOs, who mostly are also finance people? I think that's the challenge they have. The challenge is with the finance training of accountants. And marketers also need to really understand the financial numbers. What I did, all the things have been said, marketers also need to be open, really. You develop an advert, you think you know everything. When I got to Honeywell, I was told we have to look at this thing by management. So I actually had an open heart. So I started using the management team as the consumers to help me look at even the concept from the storyboard, from the script. And they gave very valuable insight into what we are doing. I work with the finance people. So we have to do the financial analysis. Because I think marketers are running away from accountability. So we just want the glamour. We do the advert, it's winning awards, but is it driving business for the company? It must start from the key issues. What are the key issues for this business? So marketing is addressing some aspect of those key issues, and it will translate to results. But if we just to develop an advert, I just feel like doing it, we may not get the kind of result we want. But also like what Baker said, we must have joint accountabilities. So the CFO, the CMO are jointly responsible, for volume, for value, for profit. Then they are going to work together. They'll be forced to work together. And sometimes, truly, the CFO thinks is superior to the CMO. That's the truth. That's what happens. So I have to give the direction. This is how much you will spend. This is what you will do. We have to change. It's a mindset we have to change. Marketing works. I launched Bam Bam Lala. I wear Bam Bam Lala here. The brand, transformed from, we were twice our volume within about a year. All the numbers went up. But it required a CEO who believed in marketing. We had to go and produce outside of the country. We wanted the best. We had to spend a lot of money. So marketing works. CFOs must cooperate, collaborate with marketing and to help the organization. Thank you.
First of all, marketing guys and the finance guys are just cat and mouse. And the reason is fundamentally simple. The CFOs in most organizations look at marketing as a marketing spend. As long as you look at it as a spend, your reaction is different. It's okay, I put my money, what ROI, return on investment. When you look at it as an investment, and that's what marketing investment is. You're investing for the long-term growth of the brand. Benson talked about Indomie and said nobody asked of Indomie. When Indomie started in this country, people were asking what this is and what the brand is. Today, they are reaping the result. It's the result of the investment over years. And until we get to when people understand that, look, you know what, it's not, I say to people, at the end of the day, the very essence of every organization is selling. It does not matter whether it's selling goods and service. The finance guys are useless if there's no income coming in. They say customer is king. Okay, consumers are the king. The point is that appealing to the heart of that consumer is what every member of a leadership team should be about. Today, what happens is your CFOs sit down, and some of you work in banks, and you put that you're doing your budget numbers, and you look at numbers based on some building blocks, and you put up as a marketing guide. CFO says, no, based on our investments, this doesn't work. We should be selling this amount of products in and you start managing and massaging and modifying the numbers to make it look good to the board. The point is, he goes and says, based on my PL, my EBIT numbers and this, it looks very good. Then 6 months into the year, your numbers are not looking good. Then he goes back to the marketing guy and says, what are you guys doing? Then the next reaction is, okay, let's cut the spend because I don't know what you're doing. That is a fundamental problem. The job of every marketing person is to ensure that people understand that every spend on a brand is an investment. When you talk of building brand equity, equity is a financial term. It means that you're putting money into something to collect something in return. It's a financial model people should understand. And the reason why it doesn't work, I've come to realize, CFOs look at it as a marketing spend. And as long as you call it a marketing spend, nobody wants to spend money. I don't like spending money, you don't like spending money. But if I say to you, invest so that in 5 years' time, your children will reap from it, all of us will invest. And it's a mindset shift. And until we get to that point, there will always be conflict. Because that the fundamental lack of understanding that every spend on the brand is to build its equity. And equity is the value you can create from that investment you make. And that's what, for my marketing colleagues, I say, look, our job is to keep, when somebody tells you this is your marketing spend, you tell them, no, this is my marketing investment. And when you say it long enough, they'll ask you what's the return on investment. Some you'll see immediate returns, some you will not see. Some you will see, and you can do all the ROIs immediately, you will see, but some you will not see. I told somebody behind there, I said, and this is a practical example, I'm executive director at TGI. When you're going on the road, in my office, last mile is near my office, and Christmas we give last mile gift. Is there an ROI on giving last mile gift? There's none. But when the last mile man taught me, I said, okay, remember that last Christmas you came to office, you move. It helps me do my business. Some you will never see what the ROI is. Some you will. It's to drive that balance. But all understand, every dime spent on the brand, if it's spent with right intentions, is an investment. And as long as we look at it that way, there is a good chance that we'll see eye to eye. They want an ROI, I want to grow my brand, I want to grow my equity, they want to grow their investment, and together we'll work well.
I like our colleagues, especially on the CFO side. Just one sentence, and as we go back tonight to think about it, if you're not going to accept the marketing budget as a budget for growth, please, can you accept it as a defense budget? Because if you are not going to sell more, please invest in what mechanism that will help you not to sell less.
2 comments, sir. And I'm going to take the first one from what Dr. Doyin Salami ended with about the elites. In my view, I believe that a huge portion of the challenges that we have in Nigeria is caused by a whole lot of us in this room and our likes outside of this room. Okay? Sometimes when you see debates go on in the environment and you see the opposite positions adopted by these so-called elites, and you ask yourself, what is the driving force behind these positions? It is primarily self-interest. Okay? And therefore, how do you blame that politician who somehow knows no better, but is advised by the same group of elites to say, go north, go south? At some point, he says, you guys are only looking for what interests you, so he focuses on what interests him. So if we're going to solve the problem, I agree with you, that's why I'm taking off from where you ended to say the elites must agree and have a clear vision of how we will solve the problem. Otherwise, we can't change. My second comment is more of a class U side. I know my marketing colleagues have spoken extensively with passion about why CFO must understand us and all that stuff. But the reality is this. I've traversed different areas since my sojourn in marketing, and now I understand a bit better. And the reality is, first, we have wrongfully profiled ourselves over the years as marketing people. There is the magic side of our business, and there is the logic. A lot of the times, we leave the logic to finance people. We are very happy to just seed that area, but the reality is the owners of the business listen first to the logic before they respond to the magic. Now, the magic is what gives us the glitz and the glamour, the awards and all this stuff, but the awards don't move the numbers. It's the logic that moves the numbers. And so the more we embrace the logic, the better we can get more awards internally and externally. Last point in that area is, I work in an organization today where the entire planning process starts from the business planning. Now, if you have a big objective that you're running for, and everybody in EXCO who has a division, including marketing and finance, are working on the same big business objective, and you know there's an input and there's the output. You know the OPEX is there to enable the output. Therefore, if along the line things are not working the way you expect, you will not even be the one to react to say, CFO, why you cut it? You are the one that's saying, no, the way we are going, I can't have a balance account at the end of this month, okay? I need to tweak my OPEX. So you are actually the one saying, I need to slow down on this because you know the impact at the end of the month. Now, if you do a spread of a 3-year plan, you can convince a reasonable CFO and a reasonable management and co-excos to say, this thing will deliver these returns along this trajectory over this period in time. But where we shy away from the logic, it will be difficult for us when they take a hit at us to use magic to explain away the logic. Shareholders will never listen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Tony Agamame, President, National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria. I won't take your time. I'll just add a little to what Kola has said. I think the issue of conflict between marketing and finance has always been there. And let's not deceive ourselves. The bad news is that because we've had this conference tonight, it's not going to disappear tomorrow. But I think we can bridge the gap a little bit. And like Kola said, I think as marketing colleagues, I think we should try to understand the language of finance. I mean, if we take a census today, how many of us can actually talk financial language? Because you want to engage the finance people, you must understand their language. And I want us to take that away from tonight so that let us try. Let's make a little effort. We're not saying you should become CFOs tomorrow, but let's understand what they are talking about. But on the other side, I think finance people also need to understand a little bit of marketing. So that if we come with the flamboyant, top-of-mind awareness, equity, and the rest of it, you can also make sense out of it. And I think if we can bridge this little gap, I think it will get better.